If life was like the movies, summer breaks would be filled with parties on the beach, getting a fun summer job, maybe a family road trip or two, and if you were lucky, you might even get to spend a few weeks hanging out with Tripper, Rudy, and the rest of the campers at Camp North Star. Unfortunately, summer breaks eventually have to end, and at the Terrell house, that time came last Monday when both of our girls headed back to school. So for this week's episode, I'm going to start and end the connections with the movie that I think best demonstrates that transition from summer break back into a new school year, the 1978 musical Grease. And to make it even more interesting, for this episode, all the connections are movies about kids in high school. So slick back your hair, get ready to rule the school, because here's a tease of what's to come. When Grease hit the theaters in the summer of 1978, 50s nostalgia was in full swing thanks to American Graffiti, Happy Days, The Lords of Flatbush, and Sha Na Na. Riding that wave, and thanks to some great songs and dance scenes, Grease netted $395 million at the box office, making it the highest-grossing musical ever, a title it held for 30 years before losing the top spot to Mamma Mia. The film was so successful that a sequel was made starring Michelle Pfeiffer and Maxwell Caulfield, and while a third installment was part of the original plan, the poor showing of Grease 2 put that project on hold. The idea of showing the next generation of T-Birds and Pink Ladies did inspire another movie though. Early drafts of High School Musical pitched the two leads as the children of Danny Zuko and Sandy Olsen, with Sharpay being the daughter of Rizzo. Even without the direct connection to the Grease storyline, High School Musical was a huge hit for Disney and helped make stars out of its young cast, especially Zac Efron. Zac's performance as Troy caught the eye of director Adam Shankman, who offered Zac the part of Link Larkin in the feature film version of the musical Hairspray. Two Grease alums, John Travolta and Michelle Pfeiffer, also joined the cast, and there are stories that between takes on the set, Travolta would sometimes begin singing Summer Nights to the delight of his fellow cast members. One of those fellow cast members was Paul Dooley, playing Harriman Spritzer, the owner of the Ultra Clutch Hairspray Company and the main sponsor of the Corny Collins Show. A veteran character actor, Paul Dooley has his own connection to movies about kids in school. One of my favorites is his performance as Dennis Christopher's father in Breaking Away, but most people will remember him as Molly Ringwald's dad in 16 Candles. Dooley originally declined the role in 16 Candles because he thought it was a stock character without much for him to do. John Hughes, who saw him in Breaking Away and really wanted him for this part, reached out to Dooley and told him he had added a scene for him where he wakes Sam up to apologize for forgetting her birthday. It convinced Dooley to do the movie, and the scene became an iconic moment in the film. A lot of the action in 16 Candles takes place at Sam's high school. The school used in the film was Niles East High School in Skokie, Illinois. And 16 Candles wasn't the only movie Niles East appeared in. John Hughes used the school again for Weird Science, and Paul Brickman chose it for Tom Cruise's high school in Risky Business. Unfortunately, if you wanted to see this iconic facade today, you're too late. The school was demolished several years ago. The only remaining feature of the exterior is the flagpole in front of the school. Music plays a big role in Risky Business, and while most people are familiar with Tom Cruise's dance scene set to Bob Seger's old-time rock and roll, for me the film's score is what really sets Risky Business apart from most of the other teen comedies of the early to mid-'80s. Composed by the German electronic music group Tangerine Dream, the score helped give the film its darker and more dreamlike feel. In total, Tangerine Dream has composed the score for more than 20 films, including another high school comedy, 3 O'Clock High. And if you pay attention during the romantic scenes in both Risky Business and 3 O'Clock High, you can't miss the similarities between their scores. The main plot of 3 O'Clock High follows Jerry Mitchell, who is being menaced by another student who is intent on fighting him. The plot is mirrored in one of the storylines in Dazed and Confused, when incoming freshmen are being hunted by seniors who paddle them as their initiation into high school. Freshman Mitch Kramer in particular is the target of second-time senior Fred O'Banion. And just like in 3 O'Clock High, the freshman is able to get the upper hand on the senior and survive the night. Dazed and Confused follows a familiar story template of telling a complete story that happens over the course of a single day or night. Ferris Bueller, Superbad, Harold and Kumar, and The Breakfast Club all follow this template. But perhaps the best example of the one-day teen movie is George Lucas's American Graffiti. But telling the story in just one night isn't the only similarity between Dazed and Confused and American Graffiti. The movies overlap on several other key elements, including scenes where the students cruise around town, hang out at the local drive-in, go to a school dance, try to buy alcohol without an ID, and as the morning comes, realize who their true friends are as they head off on their next adventures. And like so many teen movies, music plays a huge role in both of these movies as well. In fact, American Graffiti sets the entire tone for the movie with its opening shot and song selection. As the initial credits appear, we hear a radio being tuned until it finally lands on a station.
1, 2, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, rock. 5, 6, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, rock.
Rock Around the Clock became an unofficial anthem of the 50s, and the song was even used as the opening theme for the first 2 seasons of Happy Days. But Happy Days and American Graffiti weren't the first to use the song by Bill Haley and his Comets. The 1955 drama Blackboard Jungle used the song to start the movie in almost exactly the same way American Graffiti did nearly 20 years later.
1, 2, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, rock. 5, 6, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, rock. 9, 10, 11 o'clock.
Blackboard Jungle was one of the first movies to show a truer, less sanitized version of school life. In it, the new teacher, played by Glenn Ford, has to try and engage and challenge a class full of less than eager students that include Sidney Poitier and Vic Morrow. Glenn Ford's character in Blackboard Jungle is Richard Dadier. That name was used again in the comedy 21 Jump Street. This time, though, instead of being an English teacher, Mr. Dadier is the school's principal.
Let's do that again and pretend you guys aren't weird.
21 Jump Street is just one of the latest examples of a successful TV show that's been turned into a feature film. That trend really accelerated in the 1990s with Maverick, The Avengers, Twin Peaks, My Favorite Martian, and Wild Wild West, all making the leap from the small screen to the big screen. But one of the first television shows to transition to a feature film happened way back in 1956, when Our Miss Brooks was made into a feature film as the TV series neared the end of its 4-year run on CBS. Our Miss Brooks told the story of an English and grammar teacher who moves to a small town to teach at the local high school. Playing the lead in the film was Eve Arden, who also starred as Miss Brooks in the television series and on the long-running radio series under the same title. Eve Arden's portrayal of Miss Brooks was so popular that she was made an honorary member of the National Education Association, received the 1952 award from the Teachers College of Connecticut's Alumni Association, and even got job offers from school districts to be a real teacher. Fortunately, she continued acting, wrapping up a film career that lasted 53 years by playing Principal Greta McGee in Grease and Grease 2. So let's review the connections we've covered today. We started with the T-Birds and the Pink Ladies from Grease, a film that served as an early inspiration for what would become High School Musical. Zac Efron's performance in High School Musical earned him a part in Hairspray, which featured Paul Dooley, an actor who played Molly Ringwald's dad in 16 Candles. The school featured in 16 Candles is the same school Tom Cruise attended in Risky Business, which had a score written by Tangerine Dream, who created a similar score for 3 O'Clock High, which featured a character being chased by a bully, just like in Dazed and Confused, which tells the story of high school kids cruising around for a single night, just like in American Graffiti, which used the same opening song as in Blackboard Jungle, which had a character name reused in 21 Jump Street, which was a TV show that was then made into a movie just like Our Miss Brooks, which starred Eve Arden, who played Principal McGee in Grease and Grease 2. And we've come full circle. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode, and as always, if you have a favorite star, a specific film, or even a type of movie you think would make a great episode, please be sure to let me know in the comments. And I want to give a special thanks to my daughters, Ashley and Olivia, for being a part of this week's video. They both have channels here on YouTube and are pretty active on Instagram as well. Links to their channels are in the description box below. And until next time, thanks again for watching A Million Movies.